Hello, you lovely, lovely people. It is me, that HD, the end of the day, and welcome to another installment of your favourite podcast and mine, the Wrestling Matters Podcast, ladies and gents. It is a pleasure. It is good to see you guys, good to talk to you guys. Hope you guys had a good week. I'm going to do something different today on the show. That's right. I have done about 47 episodes of this show, and all this show can do is, and it's going to grow, and it's even going to grow today because I'm going to do something a little different, something new. I have got today a Raw review, Smackdown review, TNA review, a pipe bomb. That's right. And the pipe bomb is not necessarily on a wrestler this time around, which is very unusual for the podcast, because usually the pipe bomb is usually about wrestling. Not today, although it is wrestling related as well, and I'll be bringing you that later on in the show. Also, I've got something new today. Besides talking about the views and opinions of the world of professional wrestling, as I always do, I'm going to be talking ICW from this point on. That's right, Insane Championship Wrestling. I will be talking about ICW from this point on, from this episode on, because ICW brought out a new series or a new show for their ICW On Demand service. And if you haven't got that, oh boy, are you missing out. You need to get it. I'll talk about that later on in the show. They have got a show now that they've got called Friday Night Fight Club. That's right. The first episode is on the on-demand service, and later on I'm going to talk about it, review it, and tell you what I think about it. And all I'm going to say is, it was actually quite good. It was actually pretty good. Not bad for a first show. You could still improve from there. But it was very entertaining for a 60-minute show. It really was. And like I say, I will talk more about that later on in the podcast. And besides, like I say, as well as my usual skit on views and opinions in the world that we live in, this beautiful world we call professional wrestling. So, without further ado, I might as well kick off with Monday Night Raw. Oh, and also as well, I will be talking Fastlane predictions as well. I will give that after Raw or SmackDown. I don't know. I might do it after SmackDown. But until then, we will kick off this show with NXT. That's right, NXT as well. I'm going to start talking about NXT because NXT, in my opinion, is where it's at in wrestling. I saw it this week. I saw the show this week as well. It culminated in the main event with Kevin Owens beating the crap out of Adrian Neville. Although I stand corrected on certain parts of that, because Kevin Owens took a beat in that match, but still managed to beat Adrian Neville. It was a great match for the time that they had, because let's face it, 60-minute show, you don't get that much time, do you? That's what makes it interesting. Take note, Raw and SmackDown. I loved it. Great main event. There's a few other bits on there as well, and something that went down as well, which I think you already know if you've seen it on YouTube or you heard about it and whatnot. Rhino, that's right, ECW champion, last ECW champion, TNA superstar as well. I should say last ECW and TV champion, because he was the undisputed champion, wasn't he? But yeah, he came back and squashed somebody in about, say, 2 seconds, about, say, 2 minutes or minute and a half. I can't remember the guy's name. I'll have to double check it, but it wasn't much of a match anyway. He beat the guy fast, and yeah, that just got a little interesting. And then he went backstage and walked right into an interview that was being done by Finn Balor, and there was like this stare down, and Rhino had a smile on his face, which I thought was pretty cool indeed. Like I said, not bad for a 60-minute show as well, but that would be interesting. If Rhino's now back, which he seems to be, because everybody wants to come to NXT at this point. It seems Rhino's comes back to NXT. Apparently, as well, next week, I don't know, it's this thing that they're doing, what Triple H is trying to do to bring some veterans back, and, and, have them work with the younger guys, to help build the younger guys, and all the guys that are on there to help them, get them up to a new level. Solomon Crow debuted and beat the shit out of CJ Parker. I don't know, Parker came out and complained that he was, not on the NXT Rival show the previous week, and he's not on the show this week, so he tried to hijack the show, and then Solomon Crow came out and just literally beat the crap out of him, and then got a microphone, which I thought was funny, and said, "I'm back to your scheduled programming," kind of thing, bullshit over. Next, which I thought was hilarious. Is it Elias Sampson is who Rhino beat. NXT champion Kevin Owens came out and did a promo to address the world, proudly carrying the NXT championship. Kevin Owens grabbed a microphone and related that everything he said at the NXT Ravel show and arriving on NXT was true. He doesn't care who gets in his way. You get in his way, he will beat you. And he's moved on apparently now from Sami Zayn, and he's focused now on Finn Balor because Finn Balor's the number one contender. Owen dared him to pick a date for their title showdown because he will face the same fate as Sami Zayn. Basically, he turned around and went, anytime, anywhere, any place. Now, is it Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy defeated the Vaudevillains? Now, Colin Cassidy is a big motherfucker. He's a big dude. And he's hanging around with Enzo, who's, to me, he's a clown. He comes out and starts doing these rap thing, which is no, go back and see it. If you haven't seen it, go back and see it. It's hard to describe. You just have to see it for yourself. The chick and everything. The tag champions came out with the end of it, appeared on the video screen, and started playing head games with the two champions. Urged Carmella to drop her running buddies and get with real champions. Just basically playing mind games with the two, because I think these two will be next in line for a tag title shot, from what it seems anyway. And like I said, the protest. Sasha Banks defeats Blue Pants. What the fuck is that for a name for a wrestler? Ladies and gentlemen, Blue Pants. I mean, alright, she wore blue pants. I guess that could be it as well. She wore blue pants and that. I mean, for goodness sake, the music was even, the entrance music was even bad. And eventually, after trying to toy her and try to get her out the ring and everything, say, you're in my ring, blah, 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 Sasha made a quick work of her eventually. But that fucking, I swear to God. If you haven't seen it, go on WWE's YouTube page, or if you've got the network, go back and watch it. I mean, Blue Pants. All I can say is thank God it was non-title. Anyway, NXT champion Kevin Owens came out, non-title match against Adrian Neville. This was just something. It was Adrian Neville looking for revenge, because after what he did to Sami Zayn when he first came in, the powerbomb on the thing, he did exactly the same after the show to Adrian Neville. So Adrian was looking for revenge. Oh God! I mean, it was a great match. Owens got spiked in that reverse Hurricane Rana that he did, but he managed to get back up and powerbomb him and get the win. What's next for Adrian Neville, which is Finn Balor, but when, I really don't know, because I've got a funny feeling Mr. Sami Zayn ain't through with Mr. Neville yet. It's just a case. It's just a case of when this is going to go down. This match between Balor and Owens, because, like I say, I mean, not that it's not interesting, because it's, like I said on Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast, it is very interesting. I mean, it's got me interested, no doubt. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes from here. And for those of you that are interested as well, next week on NXT, not only did Rhino appear this week and return to WWE, the Brian Kendrick returns next week to NXT as well to WWE, so that should be interesting. It's just great to see Rhino back. A certain Mr. Rodriguez said that WWE is now becoming a retirement home. Michael, Professor TNA. I disagree. At the end of the day, they'll get a far better deal and a far better run. Sting, Hogan. I mean, Hogan wanted to come back anyway, but Sting and Rhino and the Brian Kendrick will probably get a far better deal in WWE than they would in TNA. All things considering. But it's just nice to see them back in WWE, and it'd be nice to see Brian back next week. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Brian Kendrick is a former tag team champion with Paul London, former ICW tag team champion as well, and probably everywhere he's been with Paul, he's won belts. So be interested to see what happens next week on NXT. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, again, starting this week onwards, I will talk a little bit about NXT shows as well. Because trust me, NXT is where wrestling matters in WWE. Because let's face it, you ain't getting it on Raw and Smackdown, are you? Anyway, I'm going to go to a quick break, get a breather in, and after this, when I come back, I will be bringing you the Raw review. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There's a whole lot more to come on the Wrestling Matters podcast. See you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday, with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shuggs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and now it's time for the Raw Review. That's right, Raw Review, and you know what? I'm going to do Smackdown as well, and then I'm going to do the predictions for Fastlane. I'm going to do it all in one segment. So without further ado, Raw kicked off this week with United States Champion Rusev confronting John Cena. With all the turmoil surrounding the saga of Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns in the WWE lately, no pun intended of course, everybody's focusing also on the United States Championship match. The 15-time world champion reminded that within minutes of Raw's opening on Monday Night Raw, brawling with the super athlete for the second time in the space of many weeks. The difference was that this time, Cena got the upper hand on the formidable United States champion, tossing the reckless abandon into the LED screen of the Titantron and hammering the Russian with 10 punches to the head and realizing that and shouting, anyone can be beaten. Will Cena put an end to this United States Championship reign and the undefeated streak too? Guess we'll find out at Fastlane pay-per-view. Or if you've seen, or you've probably seen it already. But for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not going to give you anything away. Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. Dean Ambrose's mad quest to get his face on WWE's Wall of Champions has carried him through a current and past Intercontinental Champion, which typically would cement him as the number one contender to the prize. Unfortunately, Bad News Barrett had other ideas and said that the Lunatic Fringe was not good enough to be the number one contender for the Intercontinental Champion. When will this match ever happen? After Dean Ambrose gets a convincing win over Luke Harper, it's still not good enough? Bad News Day will be coming. The New Day defeats Goldust and Stardust, but that wasn't what happened. That wasn't the story of the match. The story of the match was after the match, when things seemed to have calmed down between Goldust and Stardust. Stardust attacks Goldust and drops him with a move that was called the Crossroads. And despite the saga of words from Dusty Rhodes trying to bring these two back together and back on the same page, the words of the legend did not work. What's next for these two? More on that later. Roman Reigns defeats Kane by count-out. Paige defeats Summer Rae just like last week. Dolph Ziggler defeats Seth Rollins by DQ, setting up a match involving Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler at the Fastlane pay-per-view. More on that later on. Flair warned Triple H about the dangers of facing Sting, and nobody knows that better than Ric Flair. To be the man, as they say, you have to beat the man. Sting beat the man, beat him a lot. In the fact so much that the original man, Ric Flair, made a rare appearance on Raw to offer a word of warning to his former protege. Triple H is going to be face-to-face with the Vigilante in 6 days, or at Fastlane. The King of Kings alias was less than receptive of the wisdom of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and the COO did something about it he never thought he'd do, and that was shove Ric Flair on his keister, and promised Flair that Sting would be sent back to the hiding that he crawled out of by the Cerebral Assassin was through. What's going to happen at Fastlane? You probably have already seen it, but I say what's going to happen at Fastlane, more than likely what's going to happen at WrestleMania, because you know these two are going to end up meeting at WrestleMania. Should be interesting. Now, an Ascension match which kind of involved Darren Young. Now, that wasn't the story of the match, it's just the same old BS again. Oh yeah, Darren Young. But the same old stuff again, yeah. Same shit, different day. The Ascension, the Road Warrior wannabes get a victory. But the brawl continued after the match, and I think the Ascension were looking to beat down Darren Young. That was until Titus O'Neil showed up to help Darren Young. Now, and fight off the Ascension. Now, I don't know what the hell this means, but the question is, are the Primetime players back together? Certainly looks like it. Was it one of them situations where the Primetime players should never have broken up, kind of thing? Because the last time we saw Darren Young and Titus O'Neil in the same ring together, well, Titus literally beat the crap out of him. So it should be interesting. Primetime Place versus The Ascension. That would interest me. Bad News Barrett defeats Damien Mizdow with a little help from The Miz, but that wasn't the story of the match. Also, the story of the match was a sneak attack by Dean Ambrose on Bad News Barrett, and Bad News Barrett got tied to the turnbuckle pad and was forced to sign the contract that would make the match that everybody and Dean Ambrose wants to see at Fastlane. Bad News Barrett, Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be interesting. And like I say, if you've seen Fastlane, you probably have already seen it. WWE Tag Team Champion The Uso, Jimmy Uso that is, and Naomi defeat Tyson Kidd and Natalya. Now this was based off what happened during a dinner date with, I believe it was Total Divas. Wow, what a surprise. Total Divas strikes again. Good grief, I'm not even going to talk about it. And Big Show defeated Daniel Bryan by disqualification, but that wasn't the situation, because after the match, the two men that faced each other at Fastlane, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, got into one hell of a brawl. And despite the fact that they shook hands, but still managed to go after each other, and Booker T's ridiculous commentary, "Oh no, save it for the pay-per-view, save it for the pay-per-view." Either way, Raw ended with these two, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, literally beating the hell out of each other. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, on to Smackdown results, or the Smackdown main points. Smackdown kicked off this week with The Miz getting beat by Daniel Bryan. That's right. Before Smackdown's opening bout between Daniel Bryan and The Miz could get underway, the self-proclaimed movie star betrayed Damien Mizdow berated Damien Mizdow for continuing to mimic his moves. His personal assistant, as he now calls him, however, as he quickly fetched the Awesome One's coveted Egyptian cotton towel, he retrieved this just in time to wipe the sweat off Awesome One's after Miz tapped out to the S-Lock. Unbelievable. Ryback defeated Kane Ryback defeated Kane with the shell shock. R-Truth actually somehow defeated Bad News Barrett with a little help from the Lunatic Fringe. During the contest, the Lunatic Fringe turned his back on the action inside the ring. This served the further infuriated Intercontinental Champion and allowed the rapping superstar to roll the British Brawler up for the victory. Bray Wyatt's latest mysterious message. Bray Wyatt delivered another message, bringing forth more questions about who his message is aimed at. And if you read the dirt sheets I think you know who his message is aimed at. The Ascension beats the New Day, which were Xavier Woods and Big E Langston. Guarantee if it had been Kofi Kingston and Big E, I don't think that would have happened, but hey, who am I to know? Roman Reigns beats Luke Harper. Although Luke Harper's combination of size and athleticism proved to be tough challenge for Roman Reigns, the powerhouse superstar delivered an emphatic spear to pick up the victory, sending a message to Daniel Bryan in the process, en route to their match at Fastlane. Big Show defeated Eric Rowan, which is something he's already done before. Paige defeated Cameron, sending a message to the Bella Twins, who were at ringside. Stardust interrupted Goldust's interview. As Goldust talked with Renee Young about his newly announced match against Stardust at the Fastlane pay-per-view, his brother appeared on the screen behind him to deliver his own bizarre forecast for the inaugural pay-per-view event. That match that took place at WrestleMania, to be honest with you. But anyway, Jimmy Uso and Tyson Kidd ended in a no contest. Seth Rollins gets a little bit of revenge against Dolph Ziggler, leading into their match, their six-man tag, which goes down as Eric Rowan, Ryback, and Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins, Big Show, and Kane. After the contest, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble joined the celebration in what became a brutal 5-on-3 beatdown of the former Team Cena members. As a result, Rollins, Big Show, and Kane will face Ziggler, Ryback, and Rowan this Sunday at the pay-per-view, which is Fastlane. So, with that being said, speaking of Fastlane pay-per-view, we are going to go to the predictions now, before we go to the commercial break. Well, before we go to another break, I'm going to give you my predictions for Fastlane, or what my predictions were for Fastlane. We're going to start off with the US title. Oh boy. My prediction was John Cena, Lord Tenzai all over again. But I can see why they're doing this, because it will probably give the US title some more credibility, because believe you me, it needs it. John Cena versus Rusev would have been that way to go, and as much as I wanted to see Rusev win just to keep this streak going, going, but normally when people who have undefeated streaks walk into John Cena, it tends to go downhill from them. But yeah, like I say, John Cena wins that match. Just gonna put it bluntly right now, Paige to win the Divas title. Sorry to any Bella Twin fans out there. I'll get back to the main event in a minute. Then Dean Ambrose to beat Bad News Barrett. Now don't get me wrong, Bad News Barrett is one of my favourites, but I think Dean Ambrose needs this belt and needs this title run more because, well, his US title run wasn't very good, was it? So he needs established title run with the belt, the Intercontinental Championship that being, and hopefully he will get it at the Fastlane pay-per-view. But if Bad News Barrett wins, I won't be disappointed. 6-man tag match, Team Cena's boys, Ryback, Eric Rowan and Dolph Ziggler to win. That's as simple as that. I don't know about the Goldust and Stardust match. I'm probably going to say Stardust, and then hopefully it'll be Goldust and Stardust at WrestleMania, or Goldust and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, kind of thing. Maybe this will set up a big match for them at Mania. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. Go Stardust to win. The tag team titles, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Usos have been great champions and deserving champions too. But hopefully Cesaro and Kidd will win, and then there'll be a rematch between the two at WrestleMania. And without further ado, the main event match, or what should be the main event match at the pay-per-view, which I'm pretty sure probably won't be, considering they've been building, from what I've seen at least, they've been promoting Rusev and Cena more than this match. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns. I kind of hope it's Daniel Bryan, but I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. He won the Royal Rumble. I can't see WWE taking... WWE listened to the audience to put Bryan in this match in the first place, but I can't see Bryan winning, unfortunately. I hope he does, but I can't see it happening, unfortunately, so I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. But if Bryan wins, I won't be disappointed. As a matter of fact, I'll be happy. So there you go, ladies and gents. That is the end of the WWE Raw, Smackdown and Fastlane predictions, review and whatnot. I will be back after this with TNA's main points, as well as a pipe bomb involving TNA. So stay tuned if you want to hear it. I'll be back after this. Be sure to listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday, only on Mixcloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, Podomatic, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans, we talk about Monday Night Raw, we shoot the breeze, we pipe bomb, and we tell it like it is. Tune in each and every Monday for the Wrestling Matters podcast, where wrestling matters.
In anybody else's hands, this is a microphone. In my hands, it's a pipe bomb.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and before I get to the TNA main points and review, I want to deliver, as you clearly heard there from the intro, a pipe bomb. Now, it's Grado. Grado has been using for the past 2 years, since he started in ICW, the song, Madonna's song, or a version of Madonna's song, Like a Prayer. And leading into his match that was untelevised, I already knew what was going to happen anyway, this past week. Apparently he received an email, and Madonna did not approve of him using his song. Now, I don't know why, I don't care why, to be honest with you. Maybe Madonna's ego is getting the better of her or something, but what the fuck? This guy's been using this song for 2 years, and probably one of the main reasons he is over is because of the song. And I think he's even admitted that himself. So Madonna has to step in and send a guy an email, or have her representative send an email. This is what I got from the video I saw from Grado, saying that that Grado can't use the song. No wonder Elton John hates Madonna. Now I seem to understand why. Yes, it's her song, but at the end of the day, it's not her version that's being played. It's a different version that was used from another source, or another party, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's Hit Nation. Either that or it's Airyland. I don't know. I get, 1 minute Hit Nation, next minute's Airyland kind of thing on YouTube when I've got it. I even got it on my fucking mobile phone, for crying out loud, as well. It's ridiculous, okay? It's, you'll probably still profit from it, Madonna, but the fact, it sucks. In this past week, which I'll get to later on in this review, TNA had to create a TNA version for Grado. Like a TNA version of a song for Grado. And you know what they did, because at the beginning of it says, "It's yourself," kind of thing. I mean, seriously, why do people do this? Why do celebrities do this? I understand there's a big thing about copyright now and again, but it blows my mind why people and celebrities have to have such a huge ego. I mean, if it was me, I'd be flattered, that he wants to use my song and he likes my song or whatever. But no, Madonna, who just dressed like a man now and again, at least from the pictures I've seen anyway. I mean, at the end of the day, Madonna, he's not using your version of the song, and quite frankly, with all due respect, I don't think your version of the song would get over in professional wrestling. That's why this party remix version is over, because it's good, and people get into the song. People, want to get to the song as well. They want to. Hell, it's probably one of the best entrances in wrestling today, because people want to experience the Madonna song. I mean, there's a few people I know, like Steve Dawson and Michael Cook, and I think Michael Cook's already done it, but I think Steve Dawson and the wrestling people I talk to, they want to go to a show with Grado's on just to experience the Madonna song and to experience that entrance. But it ain't gonna happen. But I don't know if it's just for US TV or for the TNA television, so I would imagine he'd be able to use it in ICW and that, but say yes to Madonna. Hashtag say yes Madonna. This campaign that he's had to set up as well through Scottish Parliament and that, just to use your song. I mean, Madonna, he's not doing any harm to you. He just wants to use your song. But your ego is getting the best of you. That's just my opinion. Pipe bomb that. And
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
right, ladies and gentlemen, now the pipe bomb is over. I will get to TNA's main talking points. Kurt Angle kicks off the show from Scotland to declare that he'll become a number one contender in the 20-man gauntlet. He says he re-signed with TNA Impact to become the world champion. Lashley is seeking Kurt Angle backstage. Now for the Revolution against Matt Hardy and the Wolves. This kicked off TNA Impact. The Wolves and Hardy attacked the Revolution on the ramp. Matt Hardy, that is, and Davey Richards double team Manic in the ring. The Wolves and Matt Hardy sound off with the loud howl before order is restored to the match. Hardy dives towards Manic, who moves, sending Hardy to the outside. Outside the ring, the newest member, the big Indian member of the Revolution, Koya, I think his name, takes a cheap shot at Hardy just before James Storm takes control of the match. Storm and Abyss exchange tags as they work to isolate Matt Hardy from the Wolves. Storm tags Manic, who catches Matt with a backdrop. Manic puts Hardy in the headlock. Hardy breaks out with a hold, catching Manic with a side effect. Hardy crawls towards his corner. Storm grabs Hardy by the ankle, but Hardy kicks out and tags both the Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. Double team James Storm, then Manic, and finally Abyss. They send the monster into Sanada and Koyu on the outside, who are at ringside. The Wolves suicide dive on Abyss and the rest of Revolution. Then Hardy and the Wolves triple team Manic to get the pinfall, the winners of the Hardys and the Wolves. Revolution attack Matt Hardy and the Wolf. I don't know why I say Hardy's for. Jeff Hardy's not even in there, for Pete's sake. Then Storm orders Abyss to Black Hole Slam Manic as punishment for the loss. The Revolution carries Manic away as they leave. Sick Revolution bullshit. Anyway, moving on. Andrews and Rockstar Spud attack are going face to face with Ethan Carter III and Tyrus, but they have a little bit of help from Mr. Anderson. Tyrus blocks Anderson from getting in the ring while EC3 is distracted by Tyrus and Mr. Anderson. Rockstar Spud and Mandrews attack. Mandrews and Spud hold up EC3. Anderson switches on the Clippers, and just as he moves towards EC3's head, Tyrus attacks all three. Anderson battles back and catches Tyrus with a mic check. Spud and Mandrews duct tape Tyrus towards the ropes, the bottom rope, and proceed to cut Tyrus's hair. And Spud goes around, and Spud comes off and says, EC3, you're next. Now, the next talking point in this is quite a bit of... It's kind of weird the way I see it. Not the match, what happened after it. Now, Al Snow and Grado 1-on-1. This match has been brewing since British Boot Camp, and it finally took place. I won't go into further into the match. You already know how I feel about what happened with Madonna and the pipe bomb at the beginning. Al Snow connects with a moonsault and makes a pin attempt. Grado kicks out at 2. Snow goes up top again but misses the moonsault, and Grado hits him with a wee boot and gets the victory. Blah blah blah. But that wasn't what happened. I mean, Snow raises the hand and respects Grado, whatever. But that's not the main talking point. Because as that celebration was going on, the BDC come down to ringside and put a beat down on Grado and Al Snow. They beat down they beat down Al Snow, they beat down Grado. But then out of the crowd, someone comes in with a hooded top on, and attacks the BDC. Lo and behold, it turns out to be Drew Galloway. Now, as you can probably see when he goes back, he whacks Senshi with a lead pipe, busting him open. You can see the results of it. But what I want to know is this. What does this mean? I know TNA's taped, but the last time I checked, and it's still the case because he's defending the title at Barrowmania on March 29th. Drew Galloway is the ICW champion. Now, the ICW World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I don't know what the deal is, and if somebody could tell me the deal, please leave it in the comments on YouTube, or get me on Twitter at Tony_Walker or WM Podcast. Either one works. DM me it. I don't know. But I don't know what's going on, and I don't get it, to be honest. Because he's supposed to be the ICW World Heavyweight Champion, yet he's in TNA, he's on the TNA roster. I don't have a problem with him being in TNA. I mean, I like Drew Galloway. I'm a big fan. Always have been since WWE days, but, he's supposed to do the 13-14 revolution and help ICW get on TV. That's why he's the world champion, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's kind of confusing. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Tyreen Terrell beats Angelina Love for the Knockouts Championship. Well, retains the Knockouts Championship. But Awesome Kong comes out and steals the belt. Gail Kim enters the ring. Gail Kim and Kong go face to face with the championship in the background. Kong drops the title over Terrell's motionless body before retreating. Gail stares from the ring, and Josh Matthews wonders if it's a sign of things to come. Probably is. Miss Kong we're talking about, for Pete's sake. Tommy Dreamer calls out Eric Young. Eric Young music hits, but he no-shows. Dreamer tells him to be a man. Eric Young's music plays again, but again he no-shows. Dreamer heads to the back to find him. Young ambushes Dreamer. The Innovative Violence gains the upper hand and drags Young to ringside. Dreamer demands a referee before taking a swing of Fang's beer and spraying it into Young's eyes. Dreamer taunts Young too long and gets dropped groin first on the guardrail. Eric Young bites Dreamer's eyebrow and Dreamer bleeds profusely from the eye. But he manages to shift the momentum and get Eric Young back in the ring. The bell sounds. Dreamer drags a table from beneath the ring, but Young kicks the table into his face. Young rolls Dreamer into the ring and drops his elbow across the back of Dreamer's head. Young places a chair on the mat and attempts to power driver. Dreamer counters, but Young slams Dreamer onto the chair and sets up a table. Young lays Dreamer out on top of the table before climbing the ropes. Dreamer counters. He suplexes Young from the top rope, but Dreamer miscalculates the fall and goes through the table. Dreamer and Young reach their feet and tables and trade blows. Dreamer gets the better of the exchange. Dreamer slams the chair into Young's groin, but Ewath fights back, slamming Dreamer headfirst onto the chair mounted in the corner, and Dreamer stumbles. Eric Young connects with a power driver for the win. What's next for Eric Young? Mickey James returns and gets in the face of Bram and wonders what the heck's going on with him and Magnus. Bram's taking none of it and basically says to Mickey she's nothing but a bitch, and why would Magnus see anything in Mickey James anyway? Kind of thing, yada yada yada. I see Magnus versus Bram sometime very, very soon. One thing's for sure though. One thing is definitely for sure. Magnus and Bram is a complete nut. And the 20-man gauntlet, which ended in MVP winning after he eliminated Kurt Angle. And as it sees right now, MVP takes out Angle's knee. MVP attempts a blackout kick, but Angle counters into a German suplex. Angle comes off the ropes, but Kenny King grabs the ankle, and MVP connects, eliminating Angle, and gets a title shot at Bobby Lashley. And if you've seen it on YouTube, you know the outcome of that. But that will be next week, I would imagine. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the TNA main points and pipe bombs and review points and whatever. Join me after this for the debut of ICW's main points, because I will be talking about the Friday Night Fight Club. So, stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters Podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. It is time. I've already done the TNA, I've done Raw, I've done Smackdown, done my predictions for Fastlane. Now it's time for the main event of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The highlight of the Wrestling Matters Podcast today. We're making history for the first time ever. I think I've talked to them about them a few times on the podcast, but for the first time ever, I'm going to be talking about ICW. That's right, Insane Championship Wrestling, based out of Scotland. Probably the hottest thing in British wrestling today, dare I say professional wrestling, because they are really, really good. And if you haven't subscribed to their network, ICW On Demand, get it. £3, 84 a month, equivalent of £6 in the US. Get it. And they've started this past Friday a show called ICW Insane Fight Club, hashtag Insane Fight Club, but it's called the Friday Night Fight Club. It's a weekly series. I don't know if it's going to be on full time, like from now until say next year or something, or they're going to do it in like series, series 1 and then boom 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 and then series 2. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But I took time to watch it this past week, and quite frankly, for a first episode, I rather enjoyed it. It's a 60-minute show. It kicked off this week with Red Lightning. Now, for those of you that don't know, and I believe it was at Square Go, it was announced that Red Lightning would be the general manager of ICW. And he was the general manager of Spaceballs and as well, but I'll get to that bit in a minute. He comes on and he talks about Joe Coffey, how 2 years ago I think he lost his opportunity at the ICW Championship, got fired, and Joe Coffey turned his back on him as well, and he hasn't forgot that, and he said that that Joe Coffey shouldn't have been in the main event, or shouldn't have been announced in the Barrowmania main event, but Red Lightning said to enjoy it while you can, because he's going to get some payback. That's what the plan is. He also talks about the good cop, bad cop that is Mark Dallas. That's what he said. And how he did not want, and he said at Spaceballs that he did not want Noam Dar or Kenny Williams to wrestle, in case they end up like Jack Jester and Drew Galloway. But that didn't fade away, did it? Because Noam Dar and Kenny Williams went to Mark Dallas, and they got the match that they wanted on the show, which was actually on the show. So I'll talk about that later on. So Mr. Lightning was not very happy with it, and that's all he ended up talking about. And he said he wasn't there to be a fan favorite or personality or something like that. But that's what kicked off the show anyway. To start the match, match-wise at least, DCT first Big Damo. This Irish fucking beast, hairy beast, fucking monster. If you haven't seen this guy, like I say, you need to get on ICW On Demand. It was like a squash match, to be fair, because DCT hit Damo with a DDT, but Damo, the more DCT hit him, and the more he tried to get some sort of offense on him, the more it pissed Damo off, basically. And then Big Damo comes up with a fucking clothesline that took DCT's head off and gets the victory. Then after the match, Damo just went berserk. He beat up Coach, he beat up DCT with a friggin' chair, just belted them with the chairs, and then proceeded to lose his temper and beat the whole security guards up that tried to stop him. Just lost it. And then towards that as well, he hit DCT with the Damonator, which, for those of you that keep in score, that is the version of the Van Terminator from Rob Van Dam, where he jumped off the one side of the arena, jumps up, drives the chair right into the person's face. And I can tell you this right now, the last time he did that was on Joe Coffey at Shug's House Party, which is also on the network, on the ICW On Demand. And when he did it to Joe Coffey, he knocked Joe Coffey right outside the ring. And then anyway, after that, Grado heads to the ring. He's backstage, walking backstage, heads up to the ring. He looks pissed. Nikki Storm, is it Veronica Williams or one of the interview girls that always hangs around backstage, tries to get an interview. She tried to get an interview with Nikki Storm, but Nikki Storm was not paying too much attention. Quite frankly, the way she was treated, Nikki Storm, I wish Nikki Storm had turned around and knocked her out. But anyway, you never interrupt anybody while they're on the what I call it, on the telephone. But anyway, Grado was in ring, and he comes out and talks about how he was screwed at Squago, and was a little pissed off at Kid Fight for turning on him and demanded answers. James R. Kennedy came out with the two henchmen, including Kid Fight, and the best part about it was you could hear the crowd in the background going to Mr. James R. Kennedy, "You're a shite George Michael," which is fucking epic. I tell you, all you heard in the background was, "You're just a shy George Michael, shy George Michael." That was just fucking great. And Grado mocks Kennedy big time. He's like, "You know something, Grado? You know something, Grado?" And, kind of back and forth kind of thing. And Kennedy comes out and talks about Grado being paid the most in ICW. That put him in the league with John Cena in WWE, probably. Kennedy announces the name for the group that was there, because it was Kennedy's right-hand man that he had with Joe Coffey. I forgot his name. Shah Samuels, Kid Fight, and a guy who ended up sneaking in from out of nowhere and attacking Grado, which led to the beatdown of Grado, which was Martin Kirby. And the group's name now is called 55. And Grado was scheduled to wrestle them next week. More on that later. DCT's backstage recovering from his whooping that he got from Demo, thinking himself that next time he will get, his revenge on Demo, not after what you've just went through, pal. And then after that, in my opinion, it went back to the ring for the match for the 0G Championship. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, this match stole the show, because this match was really, really, really good, which was Kenny Williams defending the 0G Championship against Noam Dar. Right, it started off with chain wrestling, and Noam Dar got the advantage. Noam Dar proving that he was one step ahead. Noam Dar continued to control Kenny, grounding him, and Kenny, there was like a back and forth thing as well during the match. They were back and forth, they were hitting each other, and it's like your serve, my serve, and then one motion, Kenny just like bounced off the ropes, kind of like what Dean Ambrose would do. Came back and just clotheslined Noam Dar and basically took his head off. Noam Dar had a plan, backfires, and then Kenny retained the 0G Championship with Quackbuster, which is the Tilt the World DDT move that he did, and which he did to win the championship of Mark Coffey in the first place as well, which was amazing in its own right. And in my opinion, that match stole the show, to be honest with you. And it was a great match, not bad for the time limit that they had, well, the time that they had to go out and do what they did. Great wrestling, and I believe that Mark Dallas needs to think about putting these two, despite what Red Lightning says. Mark Dallas needs to put these two on a big show, because these two could steal the show. If they could do that on the show, the Friday Night Fight Club, or the television shows or whatever, think of what they can do on the big shows as well. Grado looks for his partners backstage and gets two guys that had basically SIA badges on there, who came up and portrayed themselves as wrestlers, and Grado accepted it, but that was not going to last very much. Now, to one of my favourite women wrestlers at the moment, a female wrestler that I liked from watching TNA British Boot Camp, Sami Zayn first, my particular favourite, Nikki Storm. Nikki Storm attacked her from the start, showing she can wrestle as well. Sami, nice top rope dropkick and then dives on Nikki and gets an ICW chant from the process as well. Dives, does like a suicide dive through the ropes as well, for those of you that didn't get that. She slingshots back in and does a neck breaker, beautifully done, and then tries to do it again, but this time Nikki Storm was aware of what was going to do. Sammy makes a mistake, and then Nikki gets Sammy on the ropes and does like a twisted neck breaker kind of thing, which she calls, if I've written it down here, the Stormbreaker, and gets the victory and proves that Nikki Storm proves to Sami Zayn that she is larger than life. And for those of you that didn't get that right there, you need to watch this right now, because her entrance music is the Backstreet Boys' Larger Than Life, which is fucking great. You know, that makes you larger than life. I love it. And hey, if Grado can get a Madonna song, and that could work, more party. Joe Henry, your hero, is a global hero, is backstage, gets an interview, and says that the best place for him to be at this point in time is ICW, and says that he wants to prove himself against Mikey Whiplash, the guy who's wrestling in the main event, and says he also wants to get revenge on James R. Kennedy and the Kennedy administration, or the 55, whatever the hell they're called, as well. Nikki Storm is backstage consulting, so to speak, Sami Zayn, and basically backstage says that she can be a role model to Sami Zayn, that Nikki Storm's wrestled all over the world, in US and whatnot, and said that she could be the role model to Sami Zayn that Sami Zayn is looking for. Sami Zayn accepts, and basically Nikki Storm hired her as a personal assistant, because that's what it was. Basically just hired her as a personal assistant. Now to the main event of the show, which was Joe Henry versus Mikey Whiplash. Teacher versus student. Apparently Mr. Whiplash trained Joe Henry as well. The match starts, train wrestling, Greco-Roman style grappling and everything. Just train wrestling to start the match, with a bit of mat wrestling as well to go with it. Feeling out process, if you will. A lot of mat wrestling, and Mikey ends up getting the advantage to ground the global hero. Joe Henry showing his power. He was fucking phenomenal in this. There was a part in the match where Joe Henry had Mikey Whiplash in like a bear hug move, and then it was like a bear hug move, and then he would probably change it. He was looking like he was going to change it into a DDT kind of move, but instead he gets it into a suplex. Now, not many strongmen people could probably try something like that, but he did it, and it was impressive. Like I say, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Whiplash gets a screwdriver. He went to the back during the point in the match. He went to the backstage. I think he was getting frustrated with Joe, and he goes backstage and goes to get a screwdriver to use on Henry, but thinks better of it. And then this video comes up about it has Mikey Whiplash on it and everything. It's to do with Mikey Whiplash, and it distracts Mikey in the match, and it's the same thing happened to him at Square Go as well, which led to him being eliminated. But I don't know what the hell this is going on, or it's about, quite frankly. And then Joe Henry takes advantage and hits the global hero slam, or whatever the heck he called it, which was basically he lifts him up into like a power bomb position, and then plants him face first to get the victory. And Joe Henry gets a win nonetheless over Mikey Whiplash. And then backstage, the two tag team partners that were going to tag team against Grado against the 55 basically couldn't leave the arena because the 55 jumped them and beat the hell out of them. So where does that leave now Grado for partners? Because obviously it's not going to be them two, so Mr. Grado might have to go out and get some big tag team partners. With that being said, though, congratulations to ICW, and I'd give that show an 8 out of 10 as the rating. And like I say, guys, if you haven't got ICW on demand, don't hesitate. £3.85 a month, £6 if you're in Americas or whatever. £3.85 a month for Britain. Get yourself on it. Subscribe to it. If you haven't got it, you are definitely missing out. ICW is where it's at. ICW is how wrestling should be, and I am very much loving ICW at this moment in time. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back after this quick break with the views and opinions in the world of professional wrestling. The final part of what has been a big Wrestling Matters podcast episode, so stay tuned. Hello everyone, Anthony Walker here. January 26th on the website. That's right, my website is finally born. My website, theheadanthonywalker.weebly.com. It will be born January 26th. Make sure you view it and check it out for all the good stuff. Podcast episodes. The Wrestling Matters channel is going to be on there as well. Videos from that. Games Matter channel, my other projects, and various other good stuff also. Also, you can listen to audio from the Wrestling Matters podcast. Not only that, some interview audio as well will be going up there as well. Be sure to check it out. January 26th, next week Monday, January 26th, the Wrestling Matters podcast comes to a website. My website, theheadanthonywalker.weebly.com. That's right, your favourite podcast host gets his own website. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Big show today, guys, as we all know. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed it also. A few things I want to discuss with you guys and want to let you know about you guys. Past week, Cesaro's Twitter was hacked and there was a lot of negative stuff on there about WWE, which probably 99% of it was true. But if you did read what was said and everything, don't worry, it was hacked, so nothing said about it. And plus, the way he's going with Tyson Kidd, it seems everything is looking up for Cesaro anyway, so none of that stuff you read was true. Also, Ric Flair is about to start a new podcast, from what I've been told. He signed a deal with CBS network kind of thing, and they have their own network on there, which is the same network that Taz has his podcast on. So he's being signed to talk to wrestlers and other actors and other stuff in entertainment world and everything. So looking forward to that when it eventually comes out. There's talk about Brock staying with WWE after WrestleMania as well. Don't know if that's been confirmed, but yeah, I would probably say that stuff's looking up for Mr. Lesnar, and considering the direction he's gone, it wouldn't be surprising as well. Just a quick promotion as well before I get on to more stuff. If you're in the Indianapolis, Indiana area, Saturday, April 11th at Thatcher Park, 4649 West Vermont Street. Doors open at 6:30, bell time 7:30. Step 1, World's Finest Wrestling presents Step 1 show. Card subject to change. Adults pay £13 and up, £12. Kids pay 12 and under, £8. Servicemen and women, military, firefighters and police, free with ID. Card subject to change, like I said. If you want more information, go to @finest_world on Twitter and Facebook as well, which is, according to this, is WOFI Indiana. So be sure to check that out. Card subject to change. It doesn't say who's on the card, but if you want more information, go to the respective sites for that. If you are in the Indiana area or Indianapolis, Indiana area. Wow, that's a mouthful as well. Also, there's also situations with Charlotte, the now former NXT Women's Champion. She's on the verge of being called up to the WWE's main 2. She has her people thinking that she's the future of the Divas division, and she is. But she also has her doubters as well. There's people on that roster probably thinking she doesn't fit the supermodel image of a diva. No, she doesn't fit the supermodel image of a diva because she's a fucking wrestler. There's a difference. There's a difference. She's a professional wrestler, okay? She might not fit the supermodel image or whatever. She doesn't need to. She's a wrestler. And she'll bring a hell of a lot more credibility to that Divas title because it needs it than any of the others. And she's probably more talented than half the WWE Diva roster anyway. So quit criticising her and give her a damn chance. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my views and opinions. And just one more quick promotion as well. If you're in the Middlesbrough area, or you can get to the Middlesbrough area, Friday night, March 27th, I will be at the Town Hall watching All Action Wrestling, to wrestling show. Tickets, I believe, are £12, £10 for youngsters as well. I don't know. You might have to double check that. I might be wrong, but it's going to be there anyway. Get yourself down to the Middlesbrough Town Hall. You can get the tickets at the box office there as well. If you see me at the show and you're a fan of the podcast or any other wrestling podcast that I do on CVFM as well, if you're a fan, come over and say hello to me. I will more than likely probably be wearing my ICW t-shirt, so if you see someone with an ICW t-shirt, it's more than likely going to be me. I don't think many people in the Middlesbrough area got an ICW t-shirt or probably don't even know what the hell ICW is. If you went up to them and said ICW, they're probably thinking, what the hell is ICW? Well, that's that's their loss, believe you me. So if you're in there, get yourself over there, come and say hi. I'll talk wrestling. If you have questions about the podcast, let me know. If you have any improvements about the podcast, or any of my stuff that I'm doing that you will find off as well, you know, my Games Matter stuff, my website, whatever. If you have any little improvements, let me know as well. So I'm working hard to get everything back to normal, like Podomatic and that. I'm working very hard with that, but it's pretty hard at the moment as far as money wise. But hopefully, I know I said this last time, but hopefully it should be all sorted out this week. Knock on wood, and normal service should be resumed. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Head Anthony Walker, the HD88 of the D. Thank you so much for listening to the Wrestling Matters podcast. I am now officially 3 to 4 episodes away now from 50 episodes, and then after that it'll be 2 weeks. It'll be the 1 year anniversary of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wow, never thought I'd be lasting, but hopefully you guys will check it out and keep supporting the podcast, because I am not done with this podcast by a long shot. As Ric Flair once said, I've only just begun. So until next time, guys, be sure to check out my Games Matter channel. Be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel as well. And until next time, peace out.